Hi everyone. You have to. Hi. I feel like a bit like I'm reading the news in this setup today, but I've got a few nappies out to show you, and we are going to be talking about how to maintain your nappies and keep them nice so that they will hopefully last a long time. So when we're talking about saving money by using washable nappies, it helps if they last a long time, and if they can be looked after really well, then that will help, and you'll be able to use them on multiple children. So the nappies I had for my first child, she's now 12, and they're actually upstairs in the loft waiting for the to be passed on to somebody else. No more babies here, but they are going to go to a good home, I hope. They were actually secondhand for me when we had them. They'd been used by somebody else for one baby, and then they came to us. They went back to the same family for them to use for their second baby, and then they came back to us again to be used for our second baby, and they are upstairs. They've been looked after. They're being stored, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to store them between babies. And they've been through several children and they're still usable, which is brilliant. So let's have a look at some nappies that I've got here and talk a little bit about how we keep them nice. So this one, which I've got here, is a Velcro nappy. This one is a Top Spots Teeny Fit. I think my internet connection is glitching a bit, so hopefully you can still see me. It's got it doesn't have poppers for fitting, this one. It's a little tiny teeny one, and it's got Velcro on here. These teeny fits, you wash them in the same way as you wash any of them, and the laundry is the first thing really that helps to keep the nappies nice. And Lucy's made a great video all about laundry and how to keep it simple, so you can find that here on our page and watch that, and she will tell you all the tips about how to get the best out of your laundry for your nappies. But basically, if you wash them between 40 and 60 degrees, they should be fine. Some nappies will say 30 degrees on the laundry label. Now, that is because they are protecting themselves in connection with the waterproofing, usually, of the outer layer. A 30-degree label is usually okay at 40 degrees, but you have to bear in mind that you might void the warranty if you wash it hotter than that. So 40 to 60 degrees, unless it says 30, or if they're not brand new, you might choose to wash them on a little bit hotter. That's fine, that's up to you. Dry them on the washing line if possible. Out in the sunshine keeps them looking nice and white, and keeps them nice and looking fluffy and clean. The sun is the best bleach. It's fantastic for getting stains out. Then it means you don't need to use any harsh chemicals on them. So when you take the nappy off the baby and it's wet, you can put it in a bucket or a laundry basket until you're ready to actually wash it. Some people like to use a laundry basket with holes so there's airflow. Some people prefer to keep the nappies in a bucket with a lid. But either way, modern cloth nappies like to be kept in what's called a dry pail. So there's no soaking required. So gone are the days of those nappy buckets that our grannies had, and you can just keep them in a dry pail till you're ready to wash them, and you should not keep them in there for more than about 2 days at the most. So we usually recommend a wash every other day, and that will mean that you are washing out anything that's in the nappy that could damage the fabric. If you pop them in on a rinse first and then wash them through, as Lucy explains in her brilliant video. So I won't double up on what she's already said. So when you're drying them, dry them on a washing line or on an airer next to the radiator. If you put them on the radiator direct, the heat from the radiator can actually affect the waterproof layer. So inside, if you've got a nappy to hand and you have a look inside, you'll be able to see, actually you can't see on this one because it's all in one. Let's have a look at this one. This one's a pocket one. So inside you can see is a shiny layer. Now this is the waterproof layer. It's actually bonded to the fabric. It's stretchy and it is breathable, and it's the waterproof layer. But because it is a thin layer of waterproofing plastic that's laminated, if you put it on a really hot radiator, you can actually blister that, and you can compromise the waterproof of the nappy by putting it on too hot temperature. So actually what we would suggest is, if you've got an airer, you can put the airer next to the radiator. You can hang your nappies over the radiator. Quite a good option is a sock hanger with lots of little pegs on it. Some people find that they can hang those from their curtain rail in a window, and that is suspended directly over the radiator. It gets the benefit of the rising heat, and the nappies aren't too close, so they're not going to get too hot. Most modern cloth nappies will dry. The shell, certainly the outer shell, will dry on an airer, ready for the next day. So you're not looking at hours and hours for the outside shell to dry anyway. So that's the bit that doesn't need to go too near the heat, and it's also the bit that dries the quickest. Most of these nappies can go in the tumble dryer. Generally, I would say put them on a cool setting, because again, you don't want to damage the waterproofing. But on a cool setting in a tumble dryer, they should be absolutely fine. Do check the washing labels before you do anything. When you get new nappies, you should always check the washing labels. And then after they're dry, if you let them cool before you stuff them, it can help stop the waterproof layer from stretching out. So with this nappy, because it's a pocket nappy, the boosters go inside in the pocket, and they're quite a snug fit in there. So actually, if you were going to stretch this when it was hot, when it was warm, you might find that you cause some damage to it. So if you let them dry before you stuff them, that can help to keep them in good condition. So that's the washing and drying. And the other thing is, although this one is a popper one, this one that we had before is Velcro. Now, nappies which have Velcro have these little tabs inside. They are great because when you take them off the baby, you just stick them down like that, and you've got nappies attached. The Velcro is attached to itself, to the nappy, and that means that they're not going to stick to anything in the wash. So Velcro, obviously, it sticks to the fuzzy side of the nappy, it sticks to the front of the nappy, but it will also stick to loads of other stuff. So if you've got things in your washing machine, like towels, or you might wash your nappies with other laundry, and you might find you get bits of fluff stuck onto the inside of your Velcro. The older your nappies get, I was just looking to see if any of mine here actually have, but they haven't. They're quite clean and nice. The older your nappies are and the longer you're using them for, they're more likely to get more fluff stuck into the tabs. You can really easily clean this out if you get another piece of Velcro, the fuzzy side, and just use it as a comb, and you'll find that all the fluff comes off the nappy Velcro and attaches onto the piece of spare Velcro. So you can buy Velcro, you can buy it in the supermarket on the end of the line where they usually sell needles and threads, things like that. You can usually get a little packet of Velcro, and you can just, one piece will work as a comb for your nappies for years and years. And in fact, it's also a top tip when your children start school. You can use it to get the fluff out of the Velcro on their shoes as well. So just comb the Velcro with another fuzzy piece of Velcro, and that will help to keep that clean. Really, really helpful. The other thing you can do, if you have pre-loved nappies, or if your nappies have been through several children and they're starting to look a little bit the worse for wear, what you can actually do is you can replace the Velcro on your nappies with poppers. I made a video earlier today, which will come out next week, showing how to do this. But this was a cheap and cheerful nappy. It had been used for almost 3 years, and actually it was starting to look a little bit tatty on the Velcro. But the nappy itself is absolutely fine. So the inside waterproofing layer, perfectly good. The elastics were fine, but just the Velcro was looking a bit tatty. So I have replaced the Velcro on here with poppers. So that's just one way that you can make your nappies last a bit longer and give them a new lease of life. You can just put poppers on instead of the Velcro if that's something that you want to do. Keep an eye out for our video showing you how to do that another day. But the Velcro, Some people prefer Velcro, some people prefer poppers because it can mean that the nappies will last longer with poppers. But even if you choose to use Velcro, all is not lost if they start to look a little bit tatty. So that's a converted popper nappy. The nappies, I mentioned the elastics on this one. So the elastics in the older nappies in this one are absolutely fine, but sometimes what can happen is they can go slack on the sides, and then it's really difficult to get a good fit around the legs. So actually, this is something that can be really easily changed. Now, the nappy I've got here, which is a fuzzy buns, is designed to have the elastics inside changed, and you can actually buy new elastics for them. So if you can see in there, the elastic is like this, and it's attached to a button. It's really very simple. They actually sell kits where you can get the new kits to put them inside. Several of the manufacturers use this system for sizing their birthday potty nappies, and they make the elastics easily replaceable. I will pop a video, a YouTube video, into the a link below this after the live session to show, because this is a bum genius. And these ones are quite renowned for having elastics that get a bit baggy and saggy. This one, as you can see, is not quite as tight as it should be. And again, they can be replaced. These ones take a little bit more skill to replace, but you can actually just open up the lining of the nappy, take out the old elastic and put new stretchy elastic in there so that you can give them a new lease of life as well, and they'll be ready to go on for more babies and for longer. You can see this one is beautifully white and fluffy on the inside. It's a fleece lined nappy, so this may be used with or without a liner inside. If you're going to use disposable liners or fleece liners on here, you might find that you can improve the length of time, the life of your nappies, by using a liner on the inside. It keep them nice and fluffy. But again, stains and things, nothing that the sun can't bleach out. So your nappies should stay nice and white and fluffy. We can compare the inside of this one, which is a fairly new and shiny one, with a very well used one. Put the two together. There's not that much in it. This one has been really well used for several years. It doesn't have any stains, doesn't have any stinks. It's been put in storage, and it's still usable. So just because they've been really well looked after, really. One thing that is quite tricky is that waterproof laminated layer on the inside of the nappy. So if that gets holes in it, or if it gets torn, the nappy will leak, because it will no longer be waterproof. The layer will be compromised, and you'll find that you've got a nappy that will always leak wherever there's a hole on the inside. You can usually check by looking inside to see whether it's smooth. If it's smooth and it's attached to the fabric on the outside, it's good to go. If it looks bobbly and blistered, you might find that you've got holes in there. Usually a nappy that's got bobbly blistered polyurethane is actually okay. It's when it's got a hole or a tear that it will actually leak. So if you're gentle when you're stuffing them, you can sometimes get a little bit more life out of a nappy that's got slightly damaged pull fabric on the inside. But actually, they can be given a new lease of life as a swim nappy. So swim nappies, disposable swim nappies that you get, aren't actually wee-proof, which I discovered to my disadvantage when I thought I would be really well organised and put the baby into her little swimming costume and her disposable swim nappy before we left home. And when we got to the swimming pool, found that the car seat and all her clothes and everything soaking wet. The disposable ones are designed only to hold poo, because that's what they really don't want in the swimming pool. So you can use a pocket nappy without a liner, without a booster rather. You can use a pocket nappy with no booster as a swim nappy. It doesn't need any stuffing, it doesn't need anything in there at all. Make it fit the baby properly. Some swimming pools like children to wear two nappies, so you could use this underneath a pull-up swim nappy on the outside, but it's a great use for a nappy that you might really like that's unfortunately not waterproof anymore, just because sometimes they do come to the end of their lives, but you can use them again in a swimming pool. You can, of course, use a nappy that is still waterproof as a swim nappy, pocket nappy. You don't need to put anything in. The chlorine in the swimming pool will probably bleach the pattern. So if you've got a favourite, don't use your favourite pattern in the swimming pool, but actually just a cheap and cheerful pocket nappy makes a brilliant reusable swimming option for a swimming nappy. And again, it's a good way to get a little bit more life out of your nappies that might otherwise not be usable anymore. So how do we store them? How do you store your nappies at home? It's really a question. You can put them in a box, you can put them on a shelf, you can put them in a wet bag. As long as they have a bit of airflow, an airing cupboard, brilliant. As long as it's not too hot, you can keep your nappies in there. Some people keep them in a basket handy for nappy changes, and that's great. You don't want to put them away when they're still damp. If they've come out of the washing machine, tumble dryer, off the line, you make sure they're properly aired before you put them away, just because you might end up with mold, and you really don't want that on your nappies. It can be quite damaging for them, as well as just not being very nice. So store them somewhere that they can be easily accessed and that they've got good airflow, and make sure they're dry before you put them away. When you're finished with your nappies for your baby, but you are not ready to let them go, so you think you might keep them for another baby, or in my case for a baby cousin, pop them in a container and pop them somewhere dry. So the temptation to put them into a vacuum bag, suck all the air out, you've got a nice flat container to put them in. The temptation is there, but nappies don't really like it. When they come out, they may be fusty, they may be a little bit smelly, they can be damaged by putting them in there. So it's probably not the best way to store them. You can put them in a large zip bag. You can get the zipper bags, so they'll have a little bit of airflow, or you put them in the bottom of the wardrobe or under the bed, somewhere that they're not going to be subjected to extreme heat and extreme cold. So if you put them in the loft, you might find that they get really, really hot. And again, that can make the outsides of the nappies go a bit crispy, and they might not be as great when you get them down as you think they might be. When you take them out, you'll want to do a proper inspection of them to make sure all those elastics, all the Velcro is ready to go. Make sure there aren't any stains, make sure they're not stinky, and pop them through the washing machine just to get them clean and spangly, ready for the new baby. So put them through on a wash with no detergent at all. You can even wash them twice with no detergent, and then once through as you would normally wash them. And if you can get them outside in the sunshine to dry, fantastic. If it's raining, even better. So the softness of rainwater will make the nappies nice and soft and fluffy. It will strip out any kind of detergents that are left in there. If you can look out for a rain cloud and hang your nappies out, your neighbours will think you're mad, but actually it will be really good for them. So you can let them be rained upon and then dry them off in the sun, and they'll be ready to go. And then you'll be ready to store them however you like to keep them while you're using them with your new baby. When you go out and about, a wet bag is really handy. You can store the nappies in the wet bag after they have been worn. Let's show you with this one. So baby has used this nappy and you've done a nappy change. You've probably seen disposable nappies rolled up like this as well. See if I can get this. It's quite tricky to do it up in the air. Literally close the nappy, pull the Velcro tabs round, and you've got a little parcel. Don't forget this under your pram, because that's not a nice surprise in 3 days' time. But it's a pretty good way to actually keep them. They don't take much space up like this when you're out and about. So actually, when you're going out, you can fold them up like this before they've been used. They'll be ready to go. You don't want to keep the nappies like this for a really long time, because it's not great for the tabs to be stretched. So if you were going to store them long term, you don't want to store them rolled up. You want to store them loose and out. But for a daily kind of storage in your nappy bag, while you're out and about, that's a pretty good tip for how you can just roll them up and stick them with the Velcro tabs. You can use any kind of nappy bag as a nappy bag. You will find that people have some amazing nappy bags with all kinds of pockets and containers and things attached to them. But actually, an ordinary rucksack is absolutely fine. And your nappies will be absolutely fine in there as well. So you can either carry them like this, or you can carry them rolled up, and they will be ready and good to go. So I think that's probably, in a nutshell, a few good tips of how to look after your nappies and keep them looking nice. If you've got any questions, feel free to send us a message, or you can put them on here even after the live session's over, because we'll keep an eye on them, and hopefully you will have fun with your nappies. Bye.